All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am with my guest this week, somebody I've been seeing a lot of lately, actually, one Joe Stapleton, aka Stapes. Man, I seen you in San Diego. I seen you last week at the Global Poker Awards, and now we've got you here at Poker News on the show.
And you were one of the first people I saw post-pandemic. Like, I think the first thing I did after vaccination was go to Gary Gates' wedding, and you were there in Mexico, and we had ourselves a lovely time there also.
That was a lot of fun. My first time in Mexico at an all-inclusive resort beach thing. It was a blast, and it was actually really good to get to know you and some other people from the poker world outside of an EPT, which we're going to talk about EPT Prague here in a little bit. But just outside the tournament poker realm and something more personal, more relaxing, more fun.
Yeah, and in fact, Gary's one of those people that one of the first people I did become friends with outside of poker, not just a work friend, a person that I actually like hanging out with, spending time with, and it got me an invite to his all-inclusive wedding.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good week, and then another good time was just a couple of weeks ago in San Diego. The Run Good Poker Series was taking place at Holloway Casino. You were there. I was there. We hung out a little bit. I don't know what it is, but those Run Good events, man, they're a lot of fun.
I always think that things that are fun, that are organized events, it really comes from the top on down. And so what I like about Run Good is that Tana Karn, the guy that runs Run Good, just really gets it. Just wants everyone to have a good time. Is just a really good person. Like, do we swear on this podcast or not?
Yeah.
He's a fucking great guy. And then the poker rooms he chooses to work with, the ones that I've been to specifically being in Sacramento at Thunder Valley, and Ben Irwin and the Hamul Casino and John Rockfort, are also really fun, great guys that want the people in their poker rooms to have a good time. And you can just see that from the top on down. It just sort of comes on down to the regular people who are there, of which I am not, but I'm part of that. Just I'm there as like a spokesperson, and then I'm there to provide that fun for the people who are there too, who are just maybe taking a punt at a $500 event, and it's just it all just works really well.
I mean, it was a $500 event for some people like yourself. Somehow managed to bag on your first bullet, I believe, and then it was like a $2,500 event for some of us who had to fire 5 bullets and didn't even make it to day 2.
Can I tell you the difference, though, between your 5 bullets and my 500 is that, like, we both have equal chances of cashing because, you probably have a better chance of cashing than I do because the way I play is I just never play any hands. Like, I think I played 2 hands on day 1, and I played 1 hand on day 2, and my guess is that you're playing more hands than that, and that's why you're spending more bullets. But, like, I'm not putting myself in any position to win the event by only playing 2 hands. So, ultimately, it's just as frustrating for both of us, I think.
Well, you didn't win the event. You made day 2, busted, I believe, short of the money. But something you did win was when I seen you at the Global Poker Awards there in Las Vegas. And I got to tell you, man, I thought you were kind of one of the standouts of the entire award show, from winning an award just to chiming in when they would come around. Jeff and Drea would come and do the interviews, and like you just had a good presence there, I thought.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot. I'm in a really lucky spot. I always have been in the poker world, and that I'm always asked to be a part of whatever's going on. That's really cool, right? Like, there are a lot of people that sort of get lost in the shuffle in the poker world. Hardigan sometimes gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. Chris Hansen, the guy that I used to work on Poker Night in America with, is largely ignored. And I get a lot of attention, and I like the attention, but I've always been very lucky that I get the attention. I get lots of praise heaped on me. I get lots of opportunities. I'm glad you noticed at the awards. I did that little bit with Jeff at the beginning. I could not tell. I think people weren't settled in yet. I don't think people were ready for the depth of the bit that I was going to go into at the top of that. But it's nice to participate in it and not have the responsibility of the entire show rest on my shoulders for hosting it. I think Jeff is a great choice as a host. I used to host it. I've mentioned many, many times, and it is a pretty tough job and pretty thankless to sort of keep it pacey, lively, entertaining. So, and to be able to just participate, and I got asked to present an award, which was really fun. And another reason I'm lucky is that people tend to get my shtick. People, I got a lot of goodwill. I'm a pretty nice fella. And so when I go up there and do stuff like that, people want me to succeed, which is really, really fortunate also.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you've been in the industry since like 2009. We met fairly early on the EPTs.
I've been in the industry since 2005.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, even further back then.
Yeah, I just wasn't really visible until the big game was in 2009. So it took me 4 years to even get to that point. But yeah, been a while.
Here you are. You were nominated for Broadcaster of the Year. You ended up, Jeff Platt ended up winning that category. But even still, I mean, I was nominated for Reporter of the Year, didn't win. And it really is, though, I found just an honor to be nominated and considered, right?
It's really, really nice to be recognized, especially in an individual category, right? Like tournament reporter or like broadcaster. It is nice to be recognized. I'm glad that if I could only have one in one of the categories, I'm glad that it was for podcasts, because that is not my win. That is a win for everyone who works on that show, for the people at PokerStars that, at least have the continue letting us do it year in and year out. So, that's a lot more gratifying to be able to have an award that, look, even if I had one broadcaster, it wouldn't be mine specifically, right? Like there's a whole team of people and a co-host, a co-commentator who all, contribute to sort of that nomination, that win. But for it to be like, no, I like the award doesn't have my name on it. The award has Poker in the Ears. Has the name of the podcast on it. So I was really glad to be able to win that, to be able to text James and my boss Francine and say we won. They both thought I was trolling, by the way. And then all they could focus on is that I lost the trophy, which the trophy got lost. I didn't lose the trophy. I just want to be clear about that.
I was going to ask, we're jealous here at the PokerNews Podcast, me and Sarah, to even be nominated, which we weren't, but then to win, it's motivated us that we're like, let's step it up in 2022. Let's try to make a run at the award because that looked like a sweet trophy. But then I was going to ask, the trophy got lost. How did that happen? What happened?
I put the trophy on a cocktail table by the bar. My girlfriend was standing right there, and I said, I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I may have taken a little longer than just going to the bathroom. You know what it's like at those things. You got people like grabbing you, poking you, do a shot, do this, be in this photo. I didn't leave it alone for any longer than 2 hours, okay, when all was said and done. It was a scant 2 hours I left it there. No, I was gone maybe like tops 10 minutes. I come back, and the trophy is gone, and my poor girlfriend, she experiences this moment many, many times in our relationship where I go, where's the trophy? And she's like, what? And I'm like, the trophy, I left it right here on the table. By the way, definitely not her responsibility. Definitely not her fault, but I have to ask. I have to be like, where's the trophy? And she did not know where the trophy was. And to be honest, I was completely unconcerned. It's not like if you lose the trophy, you lose the award. Like, the award still belongs to Poker in the Ears no matter what happens. And I just went, you know what? My guess is like, nobody stole it, right? Nobody stole the fucking trophy. So my guess is somebody else picked up our trophy, either knowing that I was irresponsible with it and they put it aside for us, or someone accidentally picked it up. And as it turns out, when all the dust settled, there was one trophy left behind. It was not the Poker in the Ears trophy. It was the Tournament Director of the Year trophy. Logic dictated that Paul Campbell, winner of the Tournament Director of the Year award, picked up the Poker in the Ears award, and that is what happened. He DM'd me the next day on Twitter. I said, it's all good. It's hilarious. You work at Aria, right? It's not like somebody like took it home to fucking Wisconsin. Where are you from? Minnesota?
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Yeah. It's not like someone took it home to Wisconsin. So I was like, yeah, just bring it back to Aria tomorrow. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out another time. So all's well in the trophy front.
That's good to hear. I didn't know that it was located, but yeah, sounds like a good mix up. And look, we know stories about people who have lost bracelets after they won them and going out celebrating that night and never gotten them back. People who have won hundreds of thousands of dollars at a poker tournament and lost that maybe at the tables on the way out and never get that back. So I'm glad that there was a happy ending to this one, though.
Believe me, if there was a way I could have forced that fucking trophy into a buffalo machine later that night, I probably would have done it. But luckily, there's no real cash value attached to them.
Well, speaking of kind of cash value, I just seen on Twitter that you're doing some stuff with Tana, which we talked about in Run Good, but the whole sports cards breaking, I'm not into it huge. I know what it is. I find it pretty entertaining, and I know there's a lot of money and value going around in that industry, but it just looks like a lot of fun to do those breaks. I'm assuming you enjoy it and like taking part in that.
Yeah, I don't do it for the money and the value, although that part is kind of cool. Like, you know, the fact that you could get something that's worth a bunch of money, but I mostly do it for the community, the sense of community, and that, you know, during the last couple years when, you know, we really only had electronic ways of hanging out with each other, Tana got me into that. And it becomes really exciting where you are ripping these sports cards and somebody gets a big hit and you get to be happy for them and clap and cheer. You're a little bit mad that you didn't win it, but, you know, it's just exciting stuff going on. And again, it's because of Tana, right? He's just such a fun guy to hang out with, and I just like being a part of that Run Good community so much. And luckily, like for me, it's basically it's kind of like going to a casino, right? For me, we're like, I go, yeah, there's a good chance. Like I'm like my budget for tonight's $300, right? So there's a good chance I'm gonna walk out with $0 out of that $300 budget, but maybe I'll walk out with 500. Maybe I'll walk out with 5,000. Maybe, and actually, what ends up happening most of the time with sports cards is that instead of walking out with 0, you walk out with like 2 cards that are worth like 100. So you know you lose a little bit of money on it, but now you have these like 2 physical things that you can hold in your hand. And by the way, I've just got piles and stacks of cards all around me here. Just anywhere you reach in my quote unquote office, it's just cards everywhere. And luckily, I got a good buddy who sells them for me online. And yeah, we take a big loss on most of them, but I factor in the fun factor that we have Wednesday and Thursday nights doing streams, pulling cards, and I also assume that because here we are on this broadcast and my podcast and other things, that this is gonna be a tax write-off for me, right? This is my job. Like here I am talking about it's work-related expense. So, fingers crossed, IRS.
I mean, I'll have your back on that one. Before we get into EPT Prague talk, I want to ask you one more question. And we've talked a little bit about it in person, but aside from poker, you have another life, and that's the stand-up comedy, the stand-up life of a stand-up comedian. What's going on with that? I know you do a lot of shows in LA, but for those listening, you know, when can they check you out, and you know, when, where, and all that?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not doing as many shows as I would like. I do have one tomorrow, which is not going to matter because this podcast probably isn't coming out tomorrow. Basically what happened was, you know, like everything else in the world, things got set back by world events over the last couple years. And I was in this range where I was just about to break through. I don't mean like Netflix breakthrough. I just mean like breakthrough as in like doing regular comedy sets at the real comedy clubs in LA. I was opening for Macdonald, which I thought was going to be kind of it for me. I was like, cool, like everyone's going to know who I am now. Pandemic hit, Norm passed away. Every comedian, basically, everyone in the comedy world just got like knocked down a few pegs. And some of these lower rungs just sort of disappeared entirely. You know, the Comedy Store isn't even fully open again yet. So I took, you know, some major status hits throughout all of that. When I go do comedy, it goes well. I'm a decent comedian. I think you've seen me before, haven't you, Chad?
Yep. And I enjoy it. I love your sense of humor, your comedy, both, you know, as a comedian and in the poker world. So yeah,
thanks,
I love
man.
it.
I appreciate that a lot. So what I try to get out there is that like I'm constantly shilling for people to come to shows, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it was good. I do the same as in poker. My commentary is pretty entertaining. Like I'm like, okay, I'm pretty okay at the job. Same as in stand up. So, we're just waiting now for like some more things to break through. And also, you know, it's hard to, something like stand-up comedy is like really difficult to do part-time. People, now don't get me wrong, it's hard to do full-time also, just because the opportunities aren't there. But I have a job and a life and commitments to the poker world that if I were, if for some reason like poker world went away like that for me and I became a starving artist again and wanted to go out there and really grind stand up, I'd probably be more successful at it. But at the moment, I've got to divide my time and my energy and my effort to lots of different things. And obviously, the most important one of those things are my commitments to the poker world. So comedy is slow, but good when it happens. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, no worries. I remember, and you mentioned him, and that's Norm Macdonald. I remember when we were down at the PCA, and Norm was there, and you guys did a comedy show, a comedy set with some others. And I remember reading on social media that you were doing shows with an opening for him, and I just thought to myself, man, what a guy to be friends with, to be working with. And like I've loved Norm Macdonald since I was a kid. Dirty Work is one of my favorite comedies of all time. When we were in San Diego, we hung out one night with some other people. We were watching old Norm Macdonald clips from Conan O'Brien and stuff. And that must have been special to get to know him like you did.
Chad, I got to tell you that there's a bunch of things in my life that have happened to me that are pretty surreal. Things that, as you said, when I was a kid, I used to occasionally have dreams. I used to watch the movie The Goonies over and over again. I used to dream that I was friends with Mikey from The Goonies. And then years later, I end up like hanging out with Sean Astin a couple times. Like I have Sean Astin's phone number. We used to text. Surreal. As a teenager, I'll just say, I'll keep it clean here. I had particular feelings for a character named Nadia from a movie called American Pie. And 10 years later, I'm at Caesar's Palace as Shannon Elizabeth's guest on New Year's Eve, dancing with her and having a little smooch at midnight. Like, surreal. As a kid, I have Norm Macdonald on VHS tape when I used to tape his late night appearances because I was a religious watcher of those shows and his appearances. And then one day he's like, hey, do you want to open for me on the road? Like, those are some really, really surreal experiences, things that I never in a million years would have thought this guy that me and all my friends worship would become a friend and a mentor to me. So, yes, it is absolutely wild to have had that sort of relationship, a very close relationship with him for some time, too. I did realize really quick, while we're talking about stand-up, I do have two shows I can plug now, because in Vegas, the weekend before the World Series of Poker starts, we're bringing back Fear and Lulling in Las Vegas. Me and Ben Ludlow, JJ Lieberman, Jocelyn Sharp, my buddy Mateen Stewart. May 28th at the Space in Las Vegas, we're going to do a big comedy show. And then if that goes well, we're going to do one the week of the main event. I know that the week of the main event will be terrible for some people, like the week of the day ones, but for like everyone else who isn't playing that particular day one, it'll be a good night for them to go see comedy. So we're trying to plan something for like the first week of July, also at the Space in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. People can mark their calendars. I certainly will. I know I'll be in town and would love to attend. So I'm glad that you thought of that.
Yeah.
Let's turn our attention to EPT Prague. This is pretty exciting because it's the return of the PokerStars EPT. This was originally supposed to happen in December, but because of the pandemic and certain things in COVID-19 protocols, it was postponed and now is taking place March 5th through the 16th at King's Casino in Prague, the Hilton Prague Hotel. I love Prague, actually. I'm not going to be there for this one. Unfortunately, I'll be in Vegas during that time, but I've been to Prague over the years many times, and it's always been one of my favorite stops, one of my favorite destination cities for poker. The EPT has rocked it there. I'm assuming you're a fan too, and that you don't mind going there.
I absolutely love Prague. You know, when people are always like, what's your favorite EPT stop? I can never really choose, but Prague is a very easy one to like come to mind. Now, we're not doing it during Christmas time this year, which I think adds probably a little bit of extra charm to the city of Prague, but I've never been there not in winter. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. I don't know what the weather will be like in March. Maybe it will just be winter without Christmas. But Prague is a cool city for many reasons. It's very old, right? You really feel like you're in another country. You feel like you're in another place, another time, even sometimes. And what I really like about Prague is that once you get outside the Hilton, it's fucking cheap. It's like it's kind of like being in a Madison, Wisconsin, instead of being in Vegas, L.A., New York. These places, like I think you can get a beer for like a buck or two still in Prague. You can have a big meal in Prague for like $9-10, and so that's really really fun. And the vibe in Prague usually is pretty cool too. I think it's just because it's before Christmas, but now it's kind of like a new type of Christmas, right? Like we're all like I feel like a kid on Christmas. I think everyone's gonna be very happy to be there. Everyone's gonna be very happy to be playing live poker again. So I just think it's a really great choice if this is a lot of people's first time coming back out, especially in Europe. In America, we're kind of spoiled and or a little bit more flippant about health and safety protocols versus what happens in Europe. So I think for Europe, this is going to be a lot of people their first time getting back out there, and Prague's a great place to do it.
Yeah, I love Prague. I've got a lot of good memories. I mean, this is an event that goes back on the EPT since 2007. It's been a staple on the schedule. I spent, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 different EPTs, especially in the mid 2010s range. I turned 30 there. I remember that when it was my 30th birthday. I was at Prague.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have any good stories or memories from EPT Prague, and just things that you remember fondly, or just maybe crazy stuff that have happened there?
Most of my like best stories are all things that happened from swiping on Tinder, like when poker wasn't happening. I remember I went out with this incredibly tall Czech girl who took me to like a club at midnight, and I had to broadcast the next day, and I was like, I really can't stay here any later. You're just like trying to figure out like if you're gonna do anything after that. And she's like, let's just stay for one more song. And the song ended up being like 45 minutes long because it was some fucking techno bullshit. And I did end up going back to my room by myself after that. But as far as poker is concerned, there are two great things in Prague that happened. One is Mikolaj Pabal winning his second EPT, being the second person to become a double winner on the EPT, the first man to become a double winner on the EPT. And then I think what I like most about Prague poker-wise is it was kind of the birthplace of Hossein Ensan. Hossein Ensan, obviously, the first time we saw him, I think, was at a seniors event in Barcelona. But he made the final table and won EPT Prague, and he had his great heads-up match with, hold on, the name is great. He's got a great Gleb Tremzen, and they had that one little incident where like one of them didn't hear what the other guy said, and it was like a potentially really dicey situation, and they were like, it's okay, I get it, I misheard, there's no angle here. It was like a really classy heads up match, and Hossein really showed us that he's got a lot of character, right? He's a guy that at the time didn't speak great English. I think it's probably only a little bit better now, but he's like a German guy that obviously has some different roots, and so I kind of like the diversity of it, and just what a sweet, kind man he appears to be. And he was super down with the broadcast, and he just comes across very charming. I think my big gag was like, I wish he was my real dad. And ever since then, even after he won the World Series of Poker main event, whenever he sees me, Stapes, oh my God, I've missed you. How are you? Comes over, gives me a big hug and a kiss. And I just don't have that sort of relationship with a ton of players because, and I think that you don't have to, right? I mean, I wouldn't expect that sort of relationship with a ton of players, but he's just such a sweet, genuine guy. And it was really cool to be able, that's probably the most memorable EPT for me, was like we were able to make him into such a character, and then of course for him to then go on and win the main event, you're like, oh fantastic, this is great. Now like I don't have to like cozy up to this guy now that he's won the main event. I'm already in, so I'm kind of a winner too in that respect.
Yeah, those are two standout moments in the history of the EPT Prague for sure. This new one though, I'm pretty excited. It's the return, like I said. Just feels good to have the EPT back, and it's going to have that whole festival feel. You have the 1,100 euro buy-in EPT National, which runs from March 6th through the 10th. And right after the 10th through the 16th is the EPT Prague main event, 5,300 euro buy-in. But something I'm particularly excited about, because I was there for the very first one in Vegas at the Wynn, is this whole mystery bounty craze that is going around the poker industry. And I'm reading on the PokerNews preview that the mystery bounty tournament is going to debut on the European Poker Tour at Prague. It is going to take place from March 12th through the 14th. It's a $2,700 buy-in tournament. I don't know. Have you had any experience with these mystery bounty tournaments? And regardless if you have or not, are you excited about this one at EPT Prague?
Yeah, not during a Stars event. I don't think I have, unless, we definitely haven't broadcast one before. I've played in them at the Run Good events. I was a mystery bounty. They're a little bit nice. So at the Run Good events, it's really only like certain bounties. There's one per table. I believe in these events, everyone has a bounty attached, right? So I have not participated in one of those. The only ones I participated in, I'm ineligible to win any of the bounties. So it's a really frustrating day for me. I'm oftentimes like suffering a smile when I'm playing poker because I'm so miserable some of the time. But especially in those events where I can't even win anything, I'm like, yeah, I'm all in. Go ahead, run it out. I'm pretty excited for this mystery bounty for PokerStars. By the way, this is news to me. Maybe it shouldn't have been. Maybe I should read my emails harder. But if I know PokerStars, there might be a couple like real interesting things jammed in to those mystery. Or if it's what do they do? Roll a tombola? I don't know. Whatever it is, usually there's like one or two extra little bells and whistles Stars like to throw in. And another thing I really like about Stars is that like when they've been quiet for a while, when they come back, it's like pretty cool. Usually the sorts of things that they have planned, the things they announce, the things that, the extra money they throw around. So that sounds pretty exciting to me. I hope I'm there for some of that.
I think that's what you just said is why I'm so excited that the EPT is back, that they're going to Prague, because when PokerStars does come back, they do it in a big way. I don't think this is going to be like, okay, EPT Prague is done. Let's rest on that for a while. I just feel like there's going to be bigger and better things coming. And this is just the start of something good. PokerNews is going to be on site. We're going to be doing live updates, videos, social media, all kinds of stuff. Are you going over there? You're actually going to travel and be on site, or are you doing it all remotely?
No, we're going over. We're going to Prague. I just had a call today about some flights that we were holding off on flights for one reason or another, and those should be locked in by Monday. Well, again, days don't matter really on this podcast, but yes, I will be there. James will be there. And I'm sure you had a question planned about this, but what I'm really excited about is doing live streams again with live poker players and with my live human counterpart, James Hardigan, being in the same room with me. The Stars team did a really fantastic job with the technology required to broadcast online poker over the last couple of years, but, there's still a little bit of a delay. There's still like a little bit of a glitch here and there. And when you're trying to be funny, right, timing is everything. So, the back and forth, the banter, I'm sure you've realized it hosting this podcast over Zoom. To interview somebody, it's great if you ask a question, they answer. But like if you want to interrupt for a second, you want to have like a back and forth, you want to have a discussion, all the little technology glitches, like they're little, but they add up. And so to be able to sit next to James and have that sort of chemistry again, to be in the same room with him is something I'm looking forward to, as well as finally having some stuff to talk about that isn't your screen name or or a disconnect, and just having some emotions and some faces and some T-shirts and some hats and some beards to make fun of. As well as people's reactions to things, right? As well as having a little bit of time to discuss hands, as it's well documented. I'm not like the best analyst in the world, but sometimes you'd like to talk about what just happened for more than 2.5 seconds till that PokerStars dealer starts firing out all the cards again. And next thing you know, you're 4 hands later and you're just like, well, I still want to talk about that river raise, but we can't because like 3 people just gone broke. So I'm really looking forward to like just having some room to breathe, some things to talk about. For me, poker is all about being social, right? And a lot of us were able to accomplish that over the last couple years. We played on PokerStars home games and had Zoom games and all that. But having that sort of social camaraderie, chemistry, human beings being together again is also something I'm really looking forward to.
I'm definitely looking forward to watching some of the live streams. Anybody listening, where can they do that? And also where can they keep on top of you and as far as social media and all that?
Oh, appreciate that very much. All the details for all of this stuff you can find at PokerStars Live. The PokerStars blog also does a great job of like keeping everybody up to date where to watch things. We tend to plug the Twitch channel, PokerStars, twitch.tv/PokerStars. Is where we tend to send folks to watch things. That's where we have full interaction, right, with us in chat. Obviously, you can follow me. I'm at Stapes on Twitter. The PokerStars blog has a Twitter account, and they're not super spammy, actually. That's probably like a good account to follow that sort of keeps track of everything that's going on. Hardigan is J_Hardigan. I'm on Instagram, InstaStapes. I don't think James is on there. What else? There was one other thing I wanted to say about where people can follow things. We got Twitch. If you follow James on Twitter, it's probably the best place. Honestly, he's very clear, concise, gets all the information out there. There's a lot of bullshit if you follow me. There's a lot of non-poker related bullshit in there. But yeah, a little entertainment in there too.
Definitely, you're one of my favorite followers.
Thanks,
yeah, follows because you're not afraid to tell it how it is. So
I am afraid, but that's me keeping my mouth shut as much as possible. Honestly, like believe me, if I wasn't afraid, there would be a lot more.
I guess maybe that's why it is so good, and it's been good to talk to you. I appreciate you taking the time. Have fun at EPT Prague, and I'm already looking forward to the next time our paths may cross.
Yeah, hey, let's do this chat again right before Scoop. That's happening May 8th to June 1st. Don't forget about Scoop.
That's a good idea because I'm sure Poker News will be covering that as well. So thanks again, Stapes. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Chad.
If you did enjoy this video and would like to see more of this type of content, please consider subscribing. For the best poker updates, strategy, and analysis, visit PokerNews.com.